Hello YouTube. Welcome back to the farm. We're busy. We are busy. So the question today is to trench or not to trench, right? To run a trencher or to just dig. And so let me show you guys around real quick, and then I'm gonna teach you something that I learned. Two things inadvertently, and then one I learned from a contractor that I'm working with. What we are doing here, let me spin you around. So what we are doing here is we are trenching. We're running some electric lines. We are running from, so what we are working on here is we are trenching. We are running some additional electric lines for a special project, and we are running them from the back of the house all the way out to the barn. And so what we are doing is I will show you kind of what my brain thoughts were, and I'm just going to keep you in this view so you can kind of see what's happening. And I should probably set you down so you're not so wobbly. So behind the garage here, it would have been impossible for me to get a trencher. Going along with that, I have power going into the house somewhere in here. I got power going out to the barn here. I got a couple ground cables, so I knew I needed to hand dig this. Plus I wouldn't be able to get it with a trencher. So I started earlier this week. Digging, and I got to about here and thought I should go that route. And once I got to about here, I thought, well, I'm done kind of following that conduit line. I'm gonna run a trencher. And so I started veering off about a 45-degree angle, figured out my angle with my fitting, did that sort of stuff, right? Run a trencher or hand dig? Always a question. Distances is about 100 feet, 110 feet, 120 feet, somewhere in there. It's kind of hard, it's kind of winding. I hit solid concrete. When we built the garage there, they decided to pour all their extra concrete right there. Excavators just covered it up. Why not? Why wouldn't you? It's there. I spent probably a half an hour, 45 minutes breaking it apart. And finally, I retreated. I went back to the original line. So let's take a look at that. So right about there is where I retreated. As you can see, giant mound of dirt. I retreated. And so I decided to follow my line. And I got to about this spot right here, and I thought, well, I'm going to veer off again. Remember, I've got to kind of wind around here with my current power. Goes around the swing set a little bit. You can see the place that I moved forward. Goal is to build a sugar shack where that truck cap shed thing is eventually. So I want to kind of steer clear of that area. And what I remembered was that on the bottom 18 inches of my electrical going out to the barn, I filled it with sand. So I had about 6 inches of topsoil here, and then it's just sand. So knowing that, digging's not bad. Digging actually is pretty fast. I could do, I don't know, 10 feet in 40 minutes or so. So I dig for a little bit, go work in the garden, dig for a little bit, go do something else. Honestly, it's about 8:30 right now, and it is beautiful for digging, but I know that I need to put some of this underground in case there's any wash. I don't want to have to hand dig underneath. This is what we're working on. It's kind of a silly little project, but I wish I would have known. I highly recommend anybody cover their bottom of their conduit with sand. And I even recommend go big, do a 2-inch conduit. I wouldn't need to run this, or even an extra section of conduit. I wouldn't have to do this. But nonetheless, I'm doing this because I have time available, and I don't want to pay somebody to do something that I can do. So let me show you what I learned from my contractor. And some of you guys probably already know about this, but they're called sight tubes. And so let's go over here. We got to fill this void, and we're going to put this little sight tube in the ground. So come to find out, sight tube, all sight tube is a piece of scrap tube that they can put a tape measure down into it, and then they'll be able to basically judge the inspector. If there's an inspector who comes out to measure the depth of the conduit, they can see that you actually put that conduit deep enough. And so recommended is something like 18 to 20 inches on this task. 24 is ideal, probably deeper is ideal as well. And so we vary anywhere from 20 inches to 24 inches because I am on top of my 24-inch deep conduit. And so it varies a little bit, but I think that it's pretty good, the depth that we're at. We're not cutting corners, we're not skimming it right underneath the ground. And so let me kind of back you up a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm working on here. So that's pretty much it. I will continue to cover this up. I'm putting one of these tubes every 30 to 40 feet or so, so that, you know, there's no questions. Also been taking some pictures so that if there's any questions, they could say, oh yeah, the guy didn't cut corners here. So that's a sight tube. I didn't know what that was. Idea is that I can just pull that up out of the ground when needed. And then quite honestly, if they give me beef, I'll just put more dirt down, right? If it's a couple inches, I'll just put dirt down. And so that's a sight tube. So we're trenching. A lot of my videos, they're not instruction. They're not necessarily time savings or cost savings, but this is my history, and this is what's the infrastructure that's building my farm. And yeah, I will put some tape over the top of that tube. And so we're in June, middle of June, sneaking up on the middle of June of 2022, and we're constantly building infrastructure here for that next, you know, my future, my present. So not exciting. This would not be great editing. This is just my story and my timeline. And kind of a fun project, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys. Probably next month we'll start to unveil this big project. And so, but we need conduit to move a lot of power, and so pretty exciting stuff. But like I said, I want to cover up some of this conduit tonight. Whew, it's getting late. I want to cover up some of this conduit tonight in case we're supposed to see a little spot of rain, and then tomorrow is supposed to be more rain. And you don't want that dirt to wash into the bottom of that hole, and then you're up even a couple inches. It's a mess. And so I'm gonna get busy, at least get this conduit down against the ground, and get that sight tube covered up. And man, we'll hit it again tomorrow and do what we can. We got some garden stuff. Still got a few meat chickens on the ground. Potatoes need to be hilled again. Just wow, right? So thanks for joining me. If I bored you, don't come back. But I do appreciate you guys that hang out with me and are interested in old Joe, and that's pretty great. And so I better get digging, stop talking. And so I'm gonna finish this up, and I hope you guys have a great day, night, morning, wherever you're at. Okay, so take care now.